This is Sheriff Knezovich with the Spokane County Sheriff's Office. Over the last 14 years, I've encouraged many law enforcement leaders to always try to get out in front of a critical story. The reason being is, once the myth is formed, once that misinformation gets out there, it is very difficult to take it back. This has happened to the Sheriff's Office just recently, so I've decided to create a section that I'm going to use to inform you, the public, as to what the truth is versus the myth. So, welcome to the Spokane County Sheriff's Office, Correcting the Myth. That myth was started by a newspaper article in the Spokesman-Review concerning our training program. I was out at our Citizen Advisory Board talking with them, and they asked me, Sheriff, how is it the Spokesman-Review got this story so wrong? Because their reporter spent 3 hours with us as our training director, Tony Anderman, explained the entire philosophy behind our pilot program, which we took to the state of Washington in order to get them to certify that pilot program. And the Citizen Advisory Board members were adamant that it seemed the reporter understood what was going on. And one of the Citizen Advisory Board members even went this far. Said, Sheriff, what do I tell all my friends? He talked to me on Facebook about why is the sheriff trying to cut training? Well, folks, we're not trying to cut training. It has nothing to do with cutting training. It's about making training in the state of Washington standardized, certified, and accredited. Something that it is not now. So my answer back was, I don't know. You should ask them. The story first ran on September 6th. Knezovich proposes pilot for shorter training program. Again, a kind of an amazing turnout, because, again, the reporter spent 3 hours with our training unit, with our Citizen Advisory Board, spent an hour with our training administrator, Tony Anderman, and spent about an hour on the phone with me. She even told me, I get it, this isn't about creating shorter training. So there's a disconnect. And I don't always blame the reporters, because editors are usually the ones that do the titles. And if any of you have heard me talk before, that's what you call clickbait. It's the most salacious, out of the box way of putting something to get your attention. Because when you read this, you're probably going, why in the heck would this sheriff cut training when everybody's saying we need more training, law enforcement needs more training? Why would he do that? It's designed to get you there. Sadly, apparently, and it's our fault, folks, as Americans, because we fall for this, and then we only read about 2 paragraphs of the story, and the truth is usually way at the bottom. And it's designed that way. It's called the hooks. So be careful about the hook, the clickbait. And this was the next story. It came out September 9th. Commission votes unanimously against shortened training academy. Again, shortened training academy. So what is it that we are proposing? We are proposing a new integrated approach to the basic law enforcement academy training. That's what we're doing. This approach has people at the national and state level starting to go, is this a better way to do this? And CJTC can approve this type of program. Our goal is to create research and evidence-based training. Our training should be based on best practices, and we want to eliminate the need for post-academy programs. We're going to use an integrated training model that puts the classroom and our field training together, and I'll explain why when we get to the next couple of slides. The commission said, well, I just don't know if this is the time to do decentralized training. One, I'm not sure why the commissioner said that, because they saw this presentation, and most of them, when we talked to them in March, were in favor of this. Not sure what happened between March and September. However, we made it very clear that we want to partner with CJTC. We already partner with them. Our trainers are already certified through the state, both at our instructor level and our FTO level. And we do a lot of training for the state of Washington. So where's the centralized concept coming from? Because we're in Spokane, they're in Burien. We certify our trainers through them, and we train all over the state for them. I don't understand that. But we've taken it a little bit further. Our instructors and FTOs are also nationally certified, something the state doesn't do, and something the state's training isn't, is standardized or certified by anyone. And as a matter of fact, the Criminal Justice Training Commission is not an accredited agency anymore. It used to be, but not anymore. And those things are important. They are really important. And we want to align our curricula with CJTCs. The bottom line was, we want to help you, we want to do this. You haven't really updated your curricula since 2014. We're willing to rewrite the entire curricula, get it certified at the national level, have it peer reviewed by Washington State University to make sure it meets the requirements of being research and evidence-based, and we'll give it to you for free. That's what we told the state. We will do all the work and we'll give it to you for free. And at that point, it will be peer reviewed by a college. It will be certified at the national level. We want to work very closely with them in that process. So, at the end of the story, we want the CJTC to recognize our training and certify it within the state of Washington. All our training has to be based on our core values, which is integrity-based, honor, character, integrity, all summed up in one word. Our values then go to training, education, and innovation, because any agency that fails to train, educate, and innovate stagnates and does not provide citizens with the best product. We just don't. So we have to do this. Because the day that you start going, well, it's the way it's always been, or this way we've always done it, is the day that you are no longer thinking, you're no longer researching, you're no longer trying to strive to raise the bar. And you always have to strive to raise the bar. If we do this, we end up with competent and confident employees. And once we get them to that point, they are committed to the agency, to our community, and we develop professionalism within them. That professionalism is directed straight at the service that we provide you. Everything we look at is how we better provide service to you and what we do to make that service better, so we ultimately earn your public trust. CJTC currently has 720 hours in the Basic Law Enforcement Academy curricula. This is what our timeline, the Sheriff's Office timeline, looks like. Nobody else's. This is the Sheriff's Office. We have 1 week pre-academy when we bring somebody on board. They go to the academy, they spend 1 week in an administration phase. Then they'll spend 18 weeks in the academy. Once they're done, they receive their certificate. Then they go into what we call the post-academy. Now, we created this, and why did we create it? Because we had so many deficiencies coming out of the academy. It used to be 1 week, then it was 2 weeks, then it went to 4 weeks. Now it's 6 weeks, because CJTC has dropped 100 hours of training out of their defensive tactics module, and defensive tactics are one of the most important things that we do. We have to learn how to de-escalate and how to use proper techniques should we have to use force. It's critical. So we had to add 2 weeks. And then we go into the FTO car, and they're judged based on their academy training, what they learned, and how they apply that on the street, and how we basically teach them how to do the job on the street. So what is the difference between us and the Criminal Justice Training Commission? This is it. By eliminating the need for this post-academy and this dead week over here, we save currently 7 weeks of training that should have happened here. We will start with 1 week of pre-academy, 18 weeks of training, and 8 to 10 weeks of the FTO car. The reason this number is different than this is because we're actually integrating the FTO car within that timeline. The FTOs will be right paired with the academy. They'll know what the rookie is being trained that week, and on every Friday, that FTO will take them out in the field and show them how that academy training is actually turned into real life experience. Why is this so important? Because we have had people go through all of this and get to 3 weeks inside this box, roughly 29 weeks of training, and decide that law enforcement was not for them. Our goal is to expose them to the real world law enforcement during this part, and if they decide that it's not for them, rather than 29 weeks of training and time, we'll only lose hopefully 6, 7, 8 weeks. That's really important because it will save you, the taxpayer, a lot of money in training somebody that ultimately decided he didn't want to do the job, or she didn't want to do the job. And it will help us identify critical issues sooner while they're in the FTO car. CJTC's hours, the Sheriff's Office hours. CJTC, you become accredited or certified within 720 hours. That's it. You can pass the academy, go to your home agency, fail the FTO car, and you're still certified as a police officer in the state of Washington. With our training, you have to accomplish all 1,178 hours before we give you that certificate. If you don't pass it all, you are not certified in the state of Washington. I throw this slide up to highlight the differences in the hours between Spokane County and CJTC in some of the core subject matters. Crisis intervention training, 40 hours, is what we receive in our academy at the Sheriff's Office. We've already done these academies multiple times. CJTC only provides 22 hours of critical incident training. And folks, that is your de-escalation. That's how to handle mental health issues, how to deal with people that have developmentally challenged issues within their families. It is critical. And they only get 22 hours at the state. We give them 40. Now here's why it's important to you. It is a state mandate that everybody receives 40 hours. When they come back to the agency from the academy, we then have to send them to a full, you can't just add hours to their 22, you have to do a full 40-hour course. That's another time loss, a time expense, and it's wasted time. They should have received it here in the academy. So, our academy time, 740 hours. I'm pretty sure that 740 hours is more than CJTC's 720 hours. So our plan does not shorten the training hours. In order to gain your certificate, you have to have 1,178 hours. You have to pass the entire program. CJTC, remember, 720 hours. You get a certificate. You can come back to your home agency, fill the FTO car, and you're still certified in this state. On top of that 740 hours, during the pilot program, we asked the state to treat us like we were another state. And when one of our deputies who graduates our academy, we agreed to send them to 80 hours of the academy's CJTC's training. So it's actually 820 hours versus their 720 hours. There's nothing short about this. Again, the graphic. During their time in the academy, we thought about adding a couple of weeks, but we decided not to try to stay as close to the academy CJT's form as possible. But they have 130 hours of self-assigned study that they have to do, that they are tested on, they have to write on them, and they have to show that they can perform these issues. We, since the state has decided to not allow the pilot program, we're now proposing that we just roll that all into the 18-week period, which makes it a 22-week period. And once we did that, you have a total of 33 weeks, 880 academy hours, for a total of 1,320 total training hours. You tell me where we shortened anything. That 880 academy hours is far greater than the CJTC's 720. Again, the comparison. 19 weeks and a certificate. 33 weeks, you get your certificate with much more academic training. I was a little amazed that the Spokesman-Review would take an angle concerning the Sheriff's Office training, knowing that they know that we take training very, very serious here at the Sheriff's Office. This story was written on May 27, 2017. It states that the Sheriff's Office wins National Award for Social Interaction Training. We are the first agency, and as far as I know, we may still be the only agency in the entire United States to take our curricula and have it certified at the national level. This is very important. It gives us a chance to make sure that it is evidence-based, that it is research-based, and that it is best practices. Spokesman-Review knows that training is one of the most important things that we do, and it is one of the most important things I see my role as sheriff, is to make sure that the men and women that serve you are highly trained, highly educated. So I guess a question for the Spokesman-Review: why did you say that? Why did you say we shortened it? Again, just on what we presented to the Commission, 740 is greater than CJTC's 720. Our timeline now, 22 weeks, no longer 18. We went ahead and folded the hours that we had them doing on top of their classroom time. They had homework time. We've added all that into our academy training. And I go back to this. I don't know how the Spokesman-Review ended up with those headlines. I don't know why it is now that the citizens of Spokane County think that their law enforcement agency is cutting training. I don't understand this. So, this is Sheriff Knezovich. We're out here trying to correct the myth. Have a good day, folks.